Good morning and welcome back to Wellness Daily. Before you do anything else today, I need you to stop, sit up, and give me the next several minutes of your full, undivided attention, because what I am about to share with you could change how you feel, how you move, how you sleep, and how independently you live for the rest of your life. I am your doctor, and after years of working closely with older adults, I have seen one painful pattern repeat itself again and again. Good people, smart people, disciplined people, people who did their best for their families and communities, keep making a handful of silent mistakes that slowly drain their strength, weaken their balance, cloud their memory, and steal their confidence one day at a time. These are not dramatic mistakes. They are ordinary ones, familiar ones, the kind that seem harmless because everyone around you does them too. And that is exactly why they are so dangerous. What makes this so heartbreaking is that most adults over 60 are not declining because they are lazy or careless. They are declining because nobody ever explained which daily habits are pushing their bodies in the wrong direction. Nobody told them that a few routine choices, repeated morning after morning and evening after evening, can quietly accelerate weakness, stiffness, inflammation, fatigue, and mental fog. But today that changes. Today you are going to hear the truth clearly, simply, and in a way you can actually use. And I want you to stay with me all the way to the end, because the number one mistake on today's list is something millions of people over 60 do every single day without even questioning it. It feels normal. It looks harmless. It has become so accepted that many people never think to challenge it. But once you understand what it is doing inside your body, you may never look at your routine the same way again. Before we begin, take a moment and think about this question. What is one habit you stopped in your later years that made your life noticeably better? Keep that in your mind as we go, because by the end of this conversation, you may decide that today is the day you stop another one. Now let us get into it. We are counting down from 7 to 1, from serious to absolutely life-changing. And I want to make one thing very clear before we go any further. This is not about fear. It is not about shaming you for habits you picked up over the years. And it is certainly not about telling you that one small mistake means something terrible is going to happen. That is not the point. The point is awareness. The point is understanding that the body listens to what we repeatedly do, and over time it reflects those repeated instructions back to us in the form of energy, strength, posture, stability, focus, and resilience. Every routine is a message. Every day is a vote. And whether most people realize it or not, the body keeps score quietly. That is why these 7 mistakes matter so much. None of them usually hurts all at once. They work slowly. They blend into the background. They feel ordinary, right up until the day a person notices they cannot do something that used to be easy. Getting up from the floor, walking through a parking lot without resting, remembering why they entered a room, sleeping through the night, carrying groceries without feeling unsteady, recovering from a cold or a stressful week. People often think those losses appeared suddenly, but in reality, the groundwork was being laid for years. The encouraging news is that the opposite is also true. Small, helpful habits may seem too simple to matter, but repeated daily, they can begin changing the direction of your health more than you think. Better sleep compounds, more movement compounds, stronger muscles compound, better meals compound, more connection compounds. And because these habits build on one another, one good change often makes the next one easier. A person who sleeps better usually has more energy to move. A person who moves more often usually feels more confident. A person who feels more confident is more likely to connect, cook, practice, and keep going. That is how real improvement happens. So, as you listen today, do not make the mistake of thinking, I have to fix everything at once. You do not. In fact, that mindset often causes people to do nothing at all. Instead, listen for the one mistake that describes you most clearly right now. The one you know in your gut needs to change first. Start there, because when one part of your life gets stronger, it often pulls the rest upward with it, and that is when people begin to realize that feeling better after 60 is not some fantasy reserved for other people. It is a direction, and directions can change. And if you have been feeling discouraged lately, hear me on this. Progress after 60 is rarely dramatic at first. It begins quietly, with better mornings, steadier steps, calmer evenings, clearer thinking, and more trust in your body. Those small wins are not trivial. They are signs of momentum returning. Number 7. Stop treating sleep like it is optional. One of the biggest mistakes adults over 60 make is believing that poor sleep is just part of aging, and therefore something you simply have to tolerate. It is not. Waking up 3 or 4 times a night, falling asleep in front of the television, dragging yourself through the day in a mental haze, needing naps just to function, and forgetting simple things because your brain never fully recharged are not things you should automatically accept. Here is what happens. After 60, your sleep becomes lighter and more fragile. That means the habits you could get away with in your 40s and 50s suddenly start hitting much harder. Late night television, irregular bedtimes, heavy dinners, too much caffeine in the afternoon, staring at bright screens, and sitting under artificial light until midnight all confuse the body's internal clock. And when that clock gets disrupted, the effects show up everywhere. Mood suffers, memory slips, blood pressure rises, appetite becomes harder to control. Even pain feels worse when your sleep is broken. I once worked with a woman in her 70s who told me she thought she had become old overnight. She felt weak in the mornings, anxious by afternoon, and emotionally flat by evening. But when we looked closely, the real problem was that she had not slept deeply in years. We changed only a few things: a regular bedtime, less screen light at night, no caffeine after lunch, and a short calming routine before bed. Within weeks, she felt sharper, steadier, and far more like herself. The application is simple. Protect your sleep like it is medicine. Go to bed at the same time. Dim the lights in the evening. Keep your bedroom cool and quiet. And stop telling yourself that exhaustion is normal just because you are over 60. Number 6. Stop eating like your muscles do not matter anymore. This mistake is everywhere, and it is quietly speeding up frailty in older adults who do not even realize it is happening. Many people over 60 eat too little protein, skip meals, snack instead of eating real food, or build their day around toast, crackers, cereal, and convenience foods that fill the stomach without feeding the body. After 60, muscle loss can happen faster than most people think. And once strength starts disappearing, everything gets harder. Stairs feel steeper, carrying groceries feels heavier, getting up from a low chair takes more effort, balance becomes less reliable, recovery after illness slows down, the body becomes less resilient because it has less reserve. I remember a man who kept telling me he was just slowing down naturally, but when we looked at his routine, breakfast was almost nothing, lunch was small, and dinner was whatever was easiest. He was not just aging, he was underfeeding the very system that kept him upright and independent. We increased his protein, made breakfast more substantial, and added simple strength-focused foods across the day. A few months later, he moved better, complained less of fatigue, and said he felt more solid in his own body. So here is the practical step. Stop eating as if energy is the only goal. Eat to preserve muscle. Include protein at every meal. Eggs, yogurt, beans, fish, chicken, cottage cheese, tofu, lentils, whatever works for you. Your muscles are your insurance policy for later life, and every meal is either protecting them or neglecting them. Number 5. Stop avoiding strength and resistance work because you think walking is enough. Walking is wonderful. It supports the heart, the mind, the joints, and the mood. But walking alone is not enough to hold on to the muscle and bone you need after 60. This is one of the most common misconceptions I see. A person can walk every day and still become weaker year after year if they never challenge their muscles. The body follows a simple rule. It keeps what it is forced to use. It lets go of what it no longer needs. If you never ask your muscles to push, pull, lift, rise, or stabilize against resistance, The body slowly decides those abilities are no longer essential. That is when simple tasks begin to change. The laundry basket starts feeling awkward. Opening a heavy door becomes annoying. Getting off the floor becomes nearly impossible. And one small illness or one bad fall suddenly takes away far more function than it should. I once saw this in a patient who walked faithfully every morning and proudly told me she never missed a day. But she could not lift a bag of soil for her garden, and she struggled to stand up from a soft couch without using both hands. Her endurance was decent. Her strength was not. We added chair stands, wall push-ups, light hand weights, and a few balance exercises several times a week. The transformation was remarkable, not because she became athletic, but because daily life stopped feeling like such hard work. So stop believing movement and strength are the same thing. They are not. Keep walking, absolutely, but also train your muscles on purpose at least a few times each week. That is how you protect independence. Number 4. Stop brushing off loneliness as a personality preference. This one is delicate, because many adults over 60 genuinely do become more selective with their time. That is understandable. Crowds can feel tiring. Noise becomes less appealing. Small talk may feel pointless. But there is a difference between protecting your peace and quietly slipping into isolation. At first, isolation can feel comfortable. You do not have to dress up. You do not have to coordinate schedules. You do not have to explain yourself. But over time, too much isolation changes more than mood. It reduces stimulation, weakens motivation, and often pulls people into routines that become smaller and smaller. Days start blending together. Conversations shrink. Curiosity fades. Confidence drops. I remember an older gentleman who told me he preferred being alone because it was simpler. But as the months passed, he was moving less, laughing less, and caring less about things that once mattered to him. What looked like preference was slowly turning into withdrawal. So we set one realistic goal, one meaningful contact a day. Not 10, not a packed social calendar. Just one call, one visit, one conversation, one shared moment. And slowly, his energy began to return. The application here is gentle. Stop waiting until you feel social to connect with someone. Reach out anyway. Call a friend. Sit with a neighbor. Visit a group once a week. Send a message to family. Human connection is not a luxury for older adults. It is nourishment for the brain and the spirit. Number 3. Stop ignoring small balance warnings. Most falls do not come out of nowhere. They are usually preceded by whispers the body has been sending for months or even years. Holding furniture as you walk through the room, reaching for the wall when stepping into the shower, avoiding certain shoes, feeling nervous on stairs, shuffling a little when you are tired. These are not random quirks. They are signals. Too many adults over 60 normalize those signs until one day the whisper becomes a crash. And the tragedy is that balance can often be improved when people respond early. The body is incredibly trainable, even later in life. But you have to stop pretending those warning signs mean nothing. I worked with someone who said, "I have not fallen, so I'm fine." But she was grabbing countertops constantly and refusing to walk outside without support. She had already lost confidence long before she lost her footing. We started with very simple drills. Standing on one leg near a chair. Slow heel-to-toe walking. Gentle leg strengthening. Better footwear. More attention to posture. Over time, her fear eased because her stability improved. The practical application is this. If you feel less steady than you did a year ago, take that seriously now, not after a fall. Practice balance. Strengthen the legs. Clear your floors. Improve lighting. Use supportive shoes outdoors. Balance is not just about avoiding injury. It is about preserving freedom. Number 2. Stop sitting for hours without interruption. This one surprises people because they assume the danger comes only from complete inactivity. But the real problem is not just how much you sit, it is how long you stay there without breaking the pattern. Many adults over 60 settle into a routine that seems harmless. Breakfast in a chair, news in a chair, reading in a chair, lunch in a chair, television in a chair. Then more sitting in the evening because the body already feels stiff and low on energy. And the longer that pattern continues, the more the body adapts downward. When you sit too long, your large muscles stay quiet, circulation slows, joints stiffen, energy drops. Standing up starts to feel harder, which makes you want to move even less. It becomes a loop. You sit because moving feels harder, and moving feels harder because you sit. I remember one patient who told me he had no stamina anymore. But instead of asking him first about exercise, I asked him about his ordinary day. He was sitting almost all of it. So we made one small rule. Every 30 minutes, he had to stand up and move for a couple of minutes, even if that movement was just walking to the window, marching in place, or stretching beside the chair. Within a short time, he noticed more energy, less stiffness, and better confidence getting around the house. So stop waiting for a perfect workout. Interrupt the sitting. Stand up often. Walk to another room. Stretch your calves. Roll your shoulders. Let movement become woven into the day instead of saved for a moment that never comes. And now number 1, the mistake that may be doing more damage than almost anything else on this list. Stop assuming decline is inevitable because you are over 60. This belief is the hidden mistake underneath so many other mistakes. It is the story that tells people, why bother? It is the reason they stop training, stop trying, stop learning, stop changing, and stop expecting improvement. When a person believes decline is automatic, they begin cooperating with it. They accept weakness before they have to. They surrender mobility before it is truly gone. They let habits slide because they assume nothing will make a difference anyway. And that belief becomes powerful, because once you stop expecting progress, you stop taking the actions that create it. I have seen adults in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond make meaningful improvements in strength, stability, mood, sleep, confidence, and daily function when they change their inputs consistently. Not perfectly, consistently. The body may age, yes, but it still responds. It still adapts. It still rewards effort. I remember one person who told me, almost with embarrassment, that she thought she was simply too old now to get stronger. But after committing to better food, better sleep, regular walking, simple resistance work, and more daily movement, she was doing tasks a few months later that she had quietly handed off to others. Nothing magical happened. She just stopped telling herself the story that decline had to win. So here is what I want you to take from today. If you are over 60, stop making these 7 mistakes right now. Stop treating sleep like it does not matter. Stop eating in ways that starve your muscles. Stop assuming walking alone is enough. Stop letting isolation disguise itself as comfort. Stop ignoring balance warnings. Stop sitting for long, uninterrupted stretches. And above all, stop believing that getting older means giving up on improvement. Because this next chapter of life is not only about adding years, it is about protecting the quality of the years you already have in front of you. It is about waking up with more clarity, moving with more confidence, and staying capable in your own home, in your own body, and in your own life. If this message reached you at the right moment, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you are not yet subscribed to Wellness Daily, consider this your invitation to join us. We create content every week for adults over 60 who want to stay strong, sharp, mobile, and fully alive for as long as possible. And now I want you to think about this very carefully. Which of these 7 mistakes are you going to stop first? Take care of yourself, my friend. I will see you in the next one.